This weekend we're heading back out to Shenandoah, Central Valley area, right about where I was last time, White Oak Falls. I'll be in Big Meadows, hiking up to Hawksbill, and then heading back down to my car and driving up to Stony Man. This will be a 2-day hike, one night camping, probably in one of those little nests up there, which I don't know if is legal or not, but probably not. We'll figure it out. I got to stop about halfway to charge just so I have enough to get up and back and be safe about it. It's going to be pretty cold, so we got a bag, and that's going to affect our battery, so we'll keep that in consideration. But otherwise, we got a lot of food ready to go. Alright, so we're out here at this Ford dealership in Virginia, charging up. It's about a 70%. And cold like this, that's only about maybe 130 miles. It's about halfway through my drive. Park is maybe 60 miles away, so I want to make sure that I have 60 miles to get there, about 20 miles for in the park, and 60 miles back, ideally. This is one of the pitfalls of this car here. But you do what you got to do. So we'll make like a quick little 40-minute stop, grab a bite, hit the road. Now, these are the Blue Ridge Mountains, and they're called that due to the blue hue that covers the peaks of them. This happens due to the massive amounts of oxygen and ozone that these trees emit. This also plays a factor into how well you see the stars. It distorts the light, so you don't see them as well. The reason you don't see that out west is because there's a lot less vegetation on those peaks. So you have a generally clearer view, plus the red dirt, there's not as much blue. It's also generally why you see the stars a little better out west. Now, despite how secluded I am in these mountains up here, I won't see that great of stars, but they'll still be a lot better than they are in the city. That's just due to a lot of the light pollution caused by the northeast corridor, which is pretty close to this area. So Here, you gotta peek out and take a look at rural Virginia. It's just all farms down there. But it's really something. As you can see here over at Big Meadows, they got a little gas station about halfway through your 109 miles. A little cheaper or a little more expensive than around most areas, and here in the edge of the valley it's about $3. Anywhere outside of that's about $2.70, and here it's $3.30. You got a gift shop and a restaurant, and I believe a ranger station up there. I'll take you through those in a second and show you the meadows. Here they got this really cool topographical map. It's three-dimensional, shows you the bounds of the park, the Appalachian trail that runs through it. Only problem is it's $45. Cool little store in here. Bathroom. This little thing over here tells you about all the history of the park and such. Up here I think is the cool part. They show you all the tools that they were using to carve out the trails and such. But yeah, pretty neat. In this visitor center, the restaurant was closed, but this was open, so I got to use the restroom, and like I said, there was a gas station. Nice little area. Just came out of the shop. Had to hold the door open for a ranger carrying some boxes, you know, help them out. Never know when they come out to help you. So this Rapidin Fire Road, I think I was near that. The Upper Dark Hollow Trail. That's where I was at White Oak Falls. Now I'm right up here. I'm gonna take a stroll around the meadow. It seems like there's some trails that run through it. That's a horse one, so I gotta watch out for frozen shit. And then I'm gonna come back up here to the parking and find that little trail at the end there and take that all the way up through this campground to the Appalachian Trail. And I'll take that all the way up about 4 miles to Hawksbill, which is on this map. You can see the Appalachian Trail that runs through there. And then I'll take the Salamander up to the Bird's Nest in Hawksbill, or Hawksbill, and that's where I'll be staying. But last time I was out here, it was super wet. I had to really worry about these maps getting wet. That's really my only way of getting around, you know. There's no service out here, so any kind of phone map is just not going to play. But this time it's pretty cold, and although there's a lot of snow, everything's pretty much frozen, so I think we're good in that regard. But I'm gonna go down to the meadow, check that out, and then get hiking, I guess. This is Big Meadows Valley. It's pretty vast. I'm sure in the summer there's a lot of lush shrubbery, maybe. Seems like there's a lot of grasses, some milkweed up here. Like I said earlier, there's some grazing deer over there, and then way off in the distance there's more up there. I've seen a lot of deer so far. Some squirrels, some rabbits. There are bears out here, and I don't have my bear mace on me right now because this is pretty open and I'm not really going that far, but otherwise I would. It is super bright right here. Down in the valley is pretty gloomy today, but up here with all this snow, the light just really bounces back at you. Here we got some more deer grazing up there. That looks like maybe a falcon or something. I'll confirm that. But yeah, nice little trail. whole valley sort of covered with them here. This is a horse trail, so I do have to be conscious of like shit, but also at the same time, I got boots on. I'll be doing all right. Even with this snow, you can still kind of feel the ground under you. It's super rocky. You can see there. But yeah. Last time I was here, I was sort of more in the back country part. Here's a lot more desolate, it seems. Although more well traversed, no doubt. This time I think I'm really going for more of the viewpoints as opposed to the secluded, remote, and peaceful wilderness. And I think there's a time and place for both, so I'm just glad to get out here. These fellas are giving me a pretty good look down. They're prey though. Really just looking to see what my next move is. I'll keep it moving, let them graze. All right. This is my trail right here. So this trail is called Story of the Forest. And this takes me to a campground that connects to the Appalachian Trail. Now, I've been on the Appalachian Trail once, pretty briefly, but it's a very famous trail. It's one of the longer trails in the country and one of the more well-traveled ones. There's campsites really all along it. And it's been known to have some pretty sketchy people. So I generally try to avoid it. And I also generally don't want to camp anywhere near it. So if I can reach those goals, I'll be okay. But today, with all these scenic overlooks, I'll be forced to hike a good bit of the Appalachian Trail and camp somewhat near it, but as you saw in my previous part, I'll be 2 trails off. This is the setup. The bag could be a little better. It's kind of hitting in the back. Trail is somewhat beaten, which is good, but I'm a little concerned that I might lose it at some points. It's not very well established in many places, just rocky. But the Appalachian Trail should definitely be blazed. Much like this one. When I come across something, I'll show you. But you can see there's pretty decent terrain all around. This trail is marked with blue blazes. That's kind of how we'll stay on track today. It's by following these guys. All right, just got to an intersection. Here's my marker. This is the Story of the Woods Trail, connects to Dark Hollow. I'm taking this all the way up. Kind of see here some dog tracks. Every now and again there's a deer one. Seen a couple squirrels run across the path. Nothing crazy yet. So this thing's pretty cool. Essentially, these boxes, this little station over here, collects data about air, temperature, moisture, all that kind of stuff. Just monitors it in the name of science and preservation. So, cheers. Here we got some kind of rhododendron, maybe a mountain laurel, but super common in Appalachia. One of the other key things when you're out here is, there's 2 inches of snow on the ground. You're walking up a mountain. it's not very easy. So you'll start to sweat as much as you might think it's cold with all this snow. The important thing is that you're layered and you can take them off and put them back on as needed. The last thing you want to do is be wet and cold. So you try to stay dry, find that happy medium. We get to the end of this trail, we're probably close. I'm gonna strip down a little bit and get a little more comfy for this last leg. So I made it to this little campground. And you know, they got drive-in spots and some that are back there in the woods a little more remote. Nice little fire pit, bench. That's where I'll reorganize my stuff and just kind of take a breather. Another cool thing to note, all these units have these metal food storage lockers with a safety latch. So that's for food storage, so that your bears and your critters don't get into stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna try this bathroom and see if they locked it for the season. All right, we have made it to the Appalachian Trail. Appalachian Trail. How about that? A lot of deer tracks. Path here only had maybe deer tracks. Here we got some footpath. Well, we're on the Appalachian Trail. This one is blazed in white as opposed to blue. And we're just following this all the way to Salamander. And then Hawksbill. Make camp. Make a fire and settle in. Looks like we got some goldenrod here. If I get real cold and real desperate, that'd make some good tea to warm me up. But I mean, you can see here, it's not the easiest trail. It's not the worst though. Some parts get pretty close to that ridge with a nice drop and it's real snowy and icy. Otherwise, pretty smooth sailing. I got like maybe 4 miles to go to the campsite, to the view, to dinner. These little leaves on the ground, you can kind of tell how fresh tracks are based on that. So here we have a pretty thick density, and in that print, less or so. And now if we assume we had snow about 2 weeks ago, maybe a week, still frozen, I'd say that's maybe a day or two, maybe 3 old. This one's probably from today. As you can see, still following that white blaze. Well, the trail's not always perfect. God damn. Got some obstacles, but we overcome. Here we got that classic Appalachian Trail logo. We're about right there. Fisher's Gap Overlook, somewhere between mile 50 and 49. Started down there at about 51. So we're looking to make it up to 49. And then we continue on to our next map. So, yeah. About a mile and a half in. 2.5 to go. Pretty decent looking bend here. You know, we're in Shenandoah, always practice and leave no trace. However, we might have to have a fire tonight to get some clean drinking water. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of great water sources around here. So what we're probably gonna have to end up doing is just boiling some snow. And I have no cooking equipment besides a kettle to boil some water. So that's what we'll be doing. And hopefully we'll keep it small enough to where it doesn't matter and we're all good. So yeah. Finally got a good little part to show you what the trail looks like. Typically with no snow on it. Good little section to show. Mostly rocks and gravel. Most of that ice packs in these rocks, so they're not too loose. But in the summer they can get super wet and slippery. Not that they're not slippery now, but just not as movable. I'm always super careful coming around these corners like this that are sort of blind. Always try to take a peek around first. A little better in the winter. You can kind of see through the brush. You also see the black of a bear. Contrast the white snow pretty well. But yeah, this is their home. It's bear country. You might think they're hibernating, and they are, but it doesn't mean they're sleeping all through the winter. They're still out. Much like humans, we get a little less energy when the sun's out, a little less. So do bears. And they'll eat a lot less because they're burning a lot less energy. So they might not be as aggressive, but still a threat. So make sure you're always on your toes. Trail's been going up for a while. Starting to get tired. Had to roll the sleeves up and all. Sweating pretty good. But this here looks like a good rock. I gotta stop, grab a snack, drink of water. I'm about 3 miles in, 2 to go. There's a campsite before the one I want to get to. It's like a mile away. And with the sun cresting the ridge like that, I don't know how much daylight I have left. So either hike with a flashlight on a trail covered with snow, or pop it down early and try to get there in the morning. So I'm gonna take a quick break and get back to hiking. Yeah, not too bad. Here we got a little book to sign. Let them know you were here. Oh. But this is our hut where we'll be staying. It's right on the Appalachian Trail, which I kind of didn't want to do. I'm here. I wanted to get more up here, but that's all right. This will do. Got a nice little table here. Fire pit. Looks like up there's an outhouse. Outhouse. Pretty stinky. Yeah, that's a bear pole, so you can sort of hang your stuff up and they can't get it. Couple spots up here, throw a tent down, but over here is our hut, and if you look down there, there's a cabin. So let's see what that whole deal is. On the Appalachian Trail. Got ourselves a cabin. Pretty good view. You see, it's locked up. Nice fireplace right here. But yeah, if this weren't locked, I'd be staying in there. But really not a whole lot of people I've seen on the trail. In fact, I didn't see anybody. So usually the axe murdering hicks is what you think of when you're here. But I haven't really seen anybody, so I'm pretty comfortable staying this close to the trail. Sort of taking back what I said earlier about not wanting to stay too close, because it's a pretty cool spot. Pretty cool spot. All right, got all the wood cut pretty much for tonight. A bunch of sticks collected too. But this is really This is really the game changer right here. We got some lint stuffed into these little paper towel holders. These things are great little fire starters, especially when it's cold and wet.
All right, good morning. We made it through the night. Bundled up pretty good. My water froze, so I had to put that in my sleeping bag with me. But other than that, we were pretty warm last night. First light, pack up, get out of here and get moving.
This to me looks like a skinwalker. The John Doe thing that they could be anybody kind of checks out with the shapeshifter shit. I didn't see that at the night, only in the morning. Had I seen that at night, I would not have stayed my ass in this hut, and I would have gone to the next spot. But I survived. We're moving again. Some folks came into the cabin, which I thought was locked last night. I stayed in the hut. They were a good 100 yards away. Couldn't really hear them. Saw some good stars. And I'm thankful that they came in. There's probably 6 of them or so. And they packed this trail down pretty good. And last night it froze. So today's a lot easier walking than yesterday. Yesterday was 2 inches of light and fluffy, and today it's just hardly a ground cover, packed in snow, a little bit of ice. So yesterday we came up the whole hill, and today we're going down, so it should be easy sailing. Get back to the car, warm up, get a banana, some breakfast, get to seeing some sights today. But we got about 4 miles to go, so we should be reaching the car 9:30. But the sun coming over that ridge leaves that blue looking real pink. Beautiful sunrise, but I'm on the opposite side of the peak, so I saw the good sunset. But as I crest this ridge, you can kind of see the sun coming up. All right, I'll check back in later. Another thing is, last night when I took my boots off, I left them upside down so that they could kind of retain some of their heat. Regardless, it was so cold they still froze. But I think if they were right side up, I probably would have got some critters in there, and they would have been a lot colder, a lot harder. I did see one mouse in my hut last night, but I'm not super worried about him. When I saw him, I checked my gear. There was nothing else in there. He scattered. Yeah. So maybe a little hidden trick is to store your boots upside down so that the heat funnels up through them and keeps them a little warmer for a little longer. Every little bit helps out here. I did not get to boil water last night in my kettle. A lot of these logs were just frozen. When you get a little bit of flame from that starter log on them, they just melt and essentially put it out. So I didn't have a fire last night, but I was still pretty warm in that sleeping bag. It's a Sub-Zero X-Army goose down coat mummy sleeping bag. So that thing covers everything except your nose and your eyeballs. And I was more than comfortable. I went to bed. My feet a little sweaty. They were immediately cold. I woke up. They were dry and warm. So that bag's really good. Highly recommend. Unfortunately, I had to carry it like that on my ass. So once I get a nicer pack, I think I'll be in great shape for carrying this thing miles and miles. I think yesterday, this is what kind of slowed me down. When it's clanging against the back of your legs like this, you lose a lot of momentum. and you start to slip side to side. Now, I don't have snowshoes on, and yeah, I was losing my balance on the edge a couple times, so ideally you get something that holds that in nice and tight. Maybe for Christmas. Got a little turned around in that campground. There was a big fucking circle and I couldn't find the trailhead. So I kind of got tired of walking through the snow, and I'm taking this road out. Leads right to the campground to Skyline Drive. It kind of goes out of my way. Not a direct path to the car. But like I said, I couldn't walk in the snow anymore. My legs were starting to kill me. I'm hungry, so I just needed to find my way out as fast and as best as I could. So sometimes you gotta make adjustments. All right, so after not making it to Hawksbill last night and having to shack up on the trail, I hiked back to my car in the morning, and I was planning on doing Hawksbill and Stony Man on the way out. But last night got pretty cold and the miles on this car actually dropped a little bit. So I'm super concerned that I'm not gonna make it back to a place that I could charge. So instead of stopping and getting out and doing the hikes and letting the car battery deplete even further in this cold, I'm just gonna try to leg it out, warm up the car, and try to get where I need to be. Plus, there's definitely gonna be a snowstorm later tonight, and all these places that I wanted to go are about a mile off Skyline Drive, which is what I'm currently on again. And I just don't have 3 hours to hike in the snow, especially when it's this cold and I'm already wet. And like I said, the car, so I'm just gonna hit the road and call good enough, good enough. On my way out of the valley, I stopped at this little antique store. I got a nice little oil lamp. Anyways, real nice old lady in there. She let me dry off and warm up around the wood stove. She gave me some cinnamon candies and kind of warms up my internals and all. But yeah, she was real sweet. Except for when she pulled a firearm on me. That wasn't so fun. But other than that, all good. She gave me little acorns, some good firewood, lots of good tips about keeping wool safe. So, you know, engage with them elders. That's all I gotta say. And this is how you know you're back in the DMV.